tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
I think it's a hope. A new hope is coming up. So I think I'm very excited.
He will bring the world together rather than dividing it, and will bring peace.
For the first time in the history of the Catholic Church, an American pope will hold the position. Why some Canadians believe the new pope will bring hope. Plus,
in light of recent events, I think there's going to be renewed scrutiny on it, but we're very confident working with our partners.
as the summer festival season gets ready to kick off in Vancouver, organizers are assuring the public robust safety plans will be in place following the Lapu Lapu Day tragedy. Also,
I had a chance to wheel across the ramp effortlessly, and it was one of the most amazing and emotional experiences of my life.
how a new wheelchair-accessible boat is making waves with the aim of making it easier for people with disabilities to enjoy the outdoors.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Janella Hamilton. Thanks for joining us. The Catholic Church now has a new leader, and for the first time in its history, the Pope is American. Megan Williams has more from the Vatican.
It was an electrifying moment to hear the announcement that an American, Robert Prevost, has become the leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Many people thought that that would never happen. There was always this idea that to balance the superpower United States, that the Vatican would never have an American Pope. And of course, that went out the window, I think, for a couple of reasons. One, Prevost, now Pope Leo XIV, is also Peruvian. He spent the past 2 decades in Peru. He is very well known in Latin America, and likely that's where a lot of the votes came from. The other reason is the change in the United States under President Donald Trump. Leo XIV and Trump could not be further apart politically. Leo is very much in line with Pope Francis's values and emphasis in the Catholic Church, reaching out to the poor, to migrants, going out into the world and making an open, welcoming church. It is very clear by the name that he chose. The previous Leo XIII, was a pope that also was very focused on social justice, that issued into the church social teaching, and was very much on the side of exploited workers. Megan Williams, CBC News, the Vatican.
In Canada, Catholicism remains the most represented religion, making this a meaningful day for millions. Lindsay Duncombe now with reaction from church leaders and people of faith right across the country.
Sisters at this Quebec City religious home waited to hear the name, then joy. On the steps of Vancouver's cathedral,
So we're talking about the new Pope.
Nikki Fabella FaceTimed friends in Bethlehem and Jordan.
I feel like he is our hope to bring peace to all the world, to end the war, especially in Ukraine and the Middle East, especially in the Holy Land.
David Bach wants the new pope to bring the church together.
I don't want to see the changes that Francis made gotten rid of. On the other hand, when you have change that is too extreme, too quick, then you alienate conservatives, and we have had conservatives leave the church.
But at this anti-abortion protest in Ottawa, desire for a church that supports movements like this.
A church that doesn't reside in their congregations on Sunday and then become secular when they leave.
In a statement, Prime Minister Mark Carney, himself a Catholic, said at a time of profound global challenges, may his pontificate be marked by wisdom, discernment, and a deep commitment to common good and dignity of all. The president of the Canadian Conference of Catholic Bishops knows the new pope. He says he's quiet and listens well.
So he appreciates the nature of Canada and wouldn't be someone who wouldn't know the history and somewhat the culture and the diversity of Canada.
Pope Leo will inherit a fragile relationship with Indigenous Catholics, given the Church's role in residential schools.
How do we go forward in the future and be able to trust again? How do we break that negativity that now lingers in the cloud?
A high bar to meet, then, for the new Pope. Canadian Catholics pray he is the man for a complicated and troubled time. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Summer festival organizers in Vancouver say safety is a major focus as they urge people to attend the public events in the coming weeks. As Mira Baines reports, after the tragedy at the Lapu Lapu Day Street Festival, more questions are being raised over security and the use of vehicle barriers.
Event safety practices are top of mind as organizers of events across Vancouver promote upcoming festivals. One of the largest events in the city is a celebration of light this July.
So today, we look ahead with hope.
About 400,000 people each night flood Vancouver's West End in the downtown core and Kitsilano. Now, safety measures are under scrutiny in light of the tragedy at the Lapu Lapu Day Festival in South Vancouver last month. A man is accused of driving his SUV into a crowd of people at the Filipino Cultural Festival on April 26th, with mental health issues being investigated as a possible factor. An event organizer with the Celebration of Light Festival says they have a robust safety plan that's looked at year-round.
There's going to be renewed scrutiny on it, but we're very confident working with our partners.
He says he's open to being part of conversations with the province over festival safety.
There's a technology of a rapid deployable vehicle barriers, the vehicle mitigation barriers, and the city recently has purchased some of those, but it's not a very big number.
An organizer with the Italian Day Festival on Commercial Drive says security is in the hands of police.
In 2018, there happened to be some controversy that played out in the media about whether or not Italian Day had too much security. And again, that's something that we leave to our partners at the VPD.
People we spoke to weighed in on attending large community events.
I like to tend to stay near the back of crowds so I can see what's happening around me. But I'd be very careful.
I think they did a good job with the sun run and barricading the streets.
Yeah, obviously hope it doesn't happen again, but it's not going to prevent me from participating in the community.
The Premier has announced a former Chief Justice will report on safety measures for event organizers by June 30th. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
A former City of Surrey finance clerk is suspected of defrauding the city of $2.5 million. Our investigative reporter Jason Proctor has been working on this story and has more on the allegations.
This city clerk, who we're not naming her because she hasn't been charged, is suspected, according to a search warrant that I've obtained, of defrauding the city of about $2.5 million between a period of 2017 and 2024, when she was initially suspended without pay and then ultimately resigned the following week.
And Jason, what do we know about the alleged fraudster?
Well, so she, according to the documents that I've seen, she was a clerk within the finance department. And what she's accused of doing is basically manipulating the system of deposits that the city takes from people where they're going to build a giant project or something like that, and puts it into account that they get back, supposed to get back when they have ultimately completed the project. But some of these accounts have been sitting dormant for 20 to 40 years. So according to these documents, this woman is accused of having manipulated that system to issue these checks to accounts that she controlled, including one in her mother's name, one in the name that was her old legal name, and one in the form of a small side business that she operated.
All right, something to keep our eyes on. Jason, thank you so much. A decision on one of Vancouver's most valuable pieces of real estate is finally happening. The Safeway next to the commercial Broadway SkyTrain station has been the site of speculation for years. Justin McElroy breaks down why a conceptual debate about the land is about to get a lot more real.
We are 1 week away from what will likely be the longest public hearing for Vancouver City Council this term. The reason? This Safeway. It is next to the commercial Broadway SkyTrain station, and you may be like, Justin, haven't there been endless stories about possible towers here? And there have been. In 2017, and 2019, and 2020, and 2022, and 2024. But now, this time, it's real. A public hearing has been scheduled for May 15th. 3 towers from 36 to 43 stories, all rental units, but 90% of them would be at market rates. Now, this proposal has gripped the commercial drive community since it was proposed 6 years ago, and controversy has increased as the proposed heights have gone up. So, not surprisingly, the group against the project for a long time has said it's not good enough.
I think that developers who stand to make a significant profit should be paying their fair share back. So this proposal, as it stands, it doesn't build affordability in the neighborhood. It barely builds community amenities.
Ultimately, this breaks down like a lot of development debates in Vancouver, but this one matters a lot more than most of them because of its location, because of its symbolism, and because of the length of time it has been debated. So this public hearing matters. The vote afterwards will determine whether it happens or not. So either show up or be prepared to wait many days for the public hearing to actually end and a decision by council to be made. Justin McElroy, CBC News, Vancouver.
Darius Madavi joins us now with a look at our weather. Darius?
Well, Janelle, as you can see, most of the map is, much like you, low to moderate fire danger. Nice color scheme. Yes, so across the province, for the most part, we're not looking too bad in terms of that fire danger. We're watching the northeast. It seems likely that we may have come into this season with some of those drought conditions. The next snowpack report is expected to come out tomorrow, so we'll get a better idea of what we're heading into the season with. But, based on just some preliminary information, seems likely that the prolonged drought may continue. In the south, we also have some elevated fire danger, mostly because of a lack of moisture in those areas. We've seen a few showers in the last week or two, but nothing too significant in most of those places. And that continues. For the most part, we're pretty dry across the interior today. Here on the coast, also not seeing many showers except up on the north and central coast, where, of course, we don't have that radar coverage. As we look to tomorrow, the North Island may be seeing some showers, but for the most part, we're dry. Mainly cloudy, but with some sunny breaks that we're not seeing so much in this model. As we look over here to Vancouver, on Saturday, we may see some showers at times, but I'd say the higher chance comes on Sunday. And we'll talk more about that later in the show, Janella.
All right, thanks so much. We'll check back in with you in a little bit. Disability advocates hope a new boat will provide easier access to the outdoors. The Rick Hansen Foundation unveiled the vessel today in Richmond, where the CBC's Janella Hamilton had the chance to climb on board.
It's a boat designed to live up to its name, with ramps you can wheel across, doors that open wide enough, and a platform that lifts you up, high enough to take the wheel.
Simple modification and freedom, right?
The man in motion, taking that movement to the water.
Once we completed the design of this boat, the Everyone Everywhere, the most powerful moment for me was in the testing phase when we actually opened the door that was built into the boat, and I had a chance to wheel across the ramp effortlessly, and it was one of the most amazing and emotional experiences of my life.
The funding for Everyone Everywhere came from the Peterson family. Ryan Peterson's late brother loved fishing and the outdoors, but an illness gradually took away his mobility and what he loved most, getting out on the water.
Yeah, he grew up as an environmentalist and a great fisherman himself. As he get a brain tumor as a kid, and then a lot of people with it get cancer in their lives. The treatment that he got younger ended up causing him strokes as he got older, and he was unable to walk.
Rick Hansen says it's all about possibility.
To actually have the door open up into your new world and know that you can actually participate again, you can live your life, be with your friends and family. You don't have to stop just because you have a disability.
The new boat helps launch the Rick Hansen Foundation's new program, Accessible Outdoors, a way to get everyone out on the water. Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Richmond.
Still ahead, a group of housing providers is calling on the province to remove supportive housing buildings from the Residential Tenancy Act and enforce a complete ban on weapons inside those buildings. That's next. Stay with us. A group of housing providers is raising the alarm about violence and weapons inside supportive housing buildings. As Katie DeRosa reports, they say removing those buildings from the Residential Tenancy Act will help keep staff and residents safe. However, the province is pushing back.
Nonprofit housing providers are using a suspected homicide in a Victoria apartment to highlight what they say is a growing concern inside supportive housing buildings. They say acts of violence and weapons have become more of a problem inside some BC Housing funded facilities.
It is situations like this that make communities fear and oppose supportive housing, and it does not have to be this way.
That's why they want urgent action, calling on the province to remove supportive housing buildings from the Residential Tenancy Act and enforce a complete weapons ban inside those buildings. Such a move would give staff more power to remove handguns or knives immediately, says one housing provider and civil rights lawyer.
What other employer has to go to the residential tenancy branch when there are weapons or violence in their workplaces to wait weeks, months, or maybe never to get that threat removed?
One Victoria-based tenants advocate, however, says removing rental protections would put residents at risk of ending back on the street.
Taking away the rights of everybody in these buildings is not the answer.
BC's housing minister, though, says there are no immediate plans to remove supportive housing buildings from the Residential Tenancy Act.
If there are more changes that are needed, we're always open to it as long as it's about safety. But we also want to ensure that these are human beings and they have some basic levels of rights so that they're not being abused as well. And we're trying to find that balance.
Calon insists that supportive housing buildings are safe and that they provide a home for people who would otherwise be on the street. But he did say the province has tasked a working group between police and housing providers to look into how to improve safety and keep weapons out of those buildings. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
In Nanaimo, a move to address housing has led to a boom in supportive housing being built, but some residents say it's been unfairly concentrated in the south end of the city. Claire Palmer reports.
Across the road, we have all the sites here in the units. You can see the blue and white and then the red and the beige.
Kayla Zilke is a resident of Old Victoria Road. She says she's concerned about the new navigation center being built across the road from her house. She believes the South End has been unfairly carrying the burden of supportive housing in Nanaimo.
I mean, I've rented in the North End, totally different world up there. This would never happen.
The complex will provide supportive housing to 60 people, and Zilke says she wants to see council use it as an opportunity to invest in the South End.
There's no crosswalks. There's just such low investment, if not, there's no investment in the South End. They've even ripped out some of the rhododendrons and put a chain link fence. It feels like they're just a dumping ground and they're not actually using it to, build the South End up and away.
Erin Hemmons is a city councillor who lives in the South End. She says she knows what the community is facing and brought a motion forward successfully on Monday night to recognize that and to have the city commit to building housing elsewhere.
I think we know that homeless people don't exist just in the South End or downtown. Homeless people are across Nanaimo. We think we have about 1,000 of them. They're everywhere along north to south. And we also don't want to overburden one neighborhood. I can say the South End has taken great strides in welcoming folks in supportive housing units, but we don't want them to do all the work.
Zilke says it's nice to feel heard by council.
I know a lot of them feel that pain and kind of stress that I feel about it all getting placed in one area without any resources to accommodate it. And I think she's totally accurate for doing that, and I actually applaud her and think it's great that she's standing up for the South End.
More services are planned for Central and North Nanaimo, with a new complex care home with 22 units for people who have substance use and mental health complexities in the early design phases for Boxwood Road. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo.
A beautiful day up on Grouse Mountain, where, as we can see, the area bears have emerged after their winter hibernation, ready to get bulked up for the summer season ahead. Darius has your full provincial forecast coming up next.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and this is your CBC Inbox. CBC celebrates Asian Heritage Month through the language of movement, where every step tells a story. Throughout the month of May, we're shining a spotlight on Asian dance groups, showcasing the dynamic blend of classical, folk, and contemporary dance forms. These talented dance groups share their cultural heritage through stories and traditions, knowledge and technique. Read and watch their stories at cbc.ca/bc.
Doris Mandavi is back with a look at our weather, and I see you're starting off with a little bit of precipitation.
That's right, just a little bit. We've got some showers coming across southwestern BC. That will come, at times pretty sporadically over the next couple days. Tomorrow, really the main chances for the North Island as we get into Saturday and Sunday. Likely some brief showers making it to other parts of the island as well as here on the lower mainland. They will be quite brief, shouldn't be too heavy most of the time, but you can expect them both potentially on Saturday and Sunday, depending on where exactly you are in southwestern BC. It's a pretty similar story for parts of the interior where there is a slight chance of showers as we head into the weekend, especially later in the weekend. I'd say the central interior has the highest chance, but we may see some outbreaks of showers, excuse me, some showers in the southern interior as well. I know that folks in many of these places are sort of hoping for some showers, and I have to say it's not a super high chance, but the possibility is there through the weekend and potentially into early next week as well. So be aware of that. Temperatures continue to remain pretty close to where they are right now here on the coast. In the interior, we see a little bit more fluctuation with those temperatures climbing into tomorrow, remaining similar on Saturday, and then on Sunday, some places moderating a little bit, but for the most part, we're sticking around that 20-degree mark. Conditions for tomorrow involve plenty of sunshine, but a low chance of showers, again, in many of these places, mostly on the coast and in the southern interior, as well as on the North Island, although not pictured there. Conditions for tomorrow here on the lower mainland, our lows are quite low, our lows are quite moderate as we get into tomorrow, a little bit warmer than today. Temperatures drop a little bit again on Saturday and then come up a little bit again on Sunday, but you won't see too much difference there. And again, some sun and some showers, Janelle.
All right, looks beautiful. Thanks so much, Darius.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News. You can watch this newscast on our free CBC Gem app, as well as on our YouTube, and of course on our website at cbc.ca/bc. Have a great night.